Torah guardian, speaking the absolute truth. Torah nation.
Shalom, 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 Yasharal and Yahuda. Grafted in Gentiles into the body of the Mashiach. Listen, you have to wade in the water. Listen, you have to be born again of the water and of the Ruach HaKodesh. You have to receive this witness in order to see the kingdom, in order to enter into the kingdom. You have to be in this witness. There is no other name given unto men whereby they must be saved, whereby they must receive Yeshua. There is only one way. Torah made flesh, Yahusha HaMashiach. Yahweh, in the name of Yahusha HaMashiach, I pray right now in the name of Yahusha HaMashiach that you will take the reins of my lips and the reins of my tongue and reign. Now, Father, you said that from my belly shall flow rivers of living water. And of this you spake of the Ruach HaKodesh, which they should receive, but they hadn't because Yahusha had not been glorified. Well, Yahuwah, I thank you that the witness has come. He has been glorified. His blood has been shed. It's been taken into the Shamayim. He has that great high priest forever, after the order of Melchizedek, sprinkling his blood, and you decreeing that you're pleased. And because I've received this witness, I waded in the water. I went down and I came up. And Yahuwah, I was born again of the water. But then Yahuwah, I received the testimony of the blood, and I repented of my sins. And because I did, you gave me the Ruach HaKodesh when I asked it. And from my belly flows rivers because I believe in Emunah, your witness. Yahuwah, I pray that I would not cause anyone to stumble, anyone to be turned out of the way, anyone to come up lame. Yahuwah, that your word would be a lamp and that it would be a light to those who have an ear to hear. Yahuwah, I surrender everything to you. I pray that you would use me in all facets. Yahuwah, allow thy word to come forth continually from my lips. Let me be of that light upon the hill. In the name of Yahusha HaMashiach, let the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be acceptable in thy sight. Yahuwah, my strength and my redeemer. In the name of Yahusha HaMashiach, we listen to none other than Hezekiah. The song is entitled, This Hour, 144. Listen, this hour we're in is the final hour. You better get into this water. You better get into this witness. You better be born again. You better be born again of the water and of the Ruach HaKodesh. Listen, listen, listen. We who have been brought up in Christendom, right, under this false Mashiach, this Christ, his name they have ascribed to is Jesus. Jesus, right? But we know Hebraically, right, that his name is Yahusha, right? But you know, they have taken that name out and put in Jesus, right? Right? And they have taken the Father's name out of the text and they replaced it with Lord, which is Baal. But see, you know, we've been robbed and spoiled, right? When they brought us over, taking us out of Africa, right, and brought us into this new land, right? We were robbed and spoiled, right? We were robbed and we was removed from everything that would represent our Hebraic culture. They stripped us, and they taught us this Christian religion. Right. Christianity is a religion. It's a New Testament religion. It is what the Catholic Church does. It is what the Protestant Church was. A New Testament religion based on Jesus. Right? Jesus. and Mary, the mother of Jesus. They told us that he was like them. And see, we were the descendants of Ham. Right? We were the cursed ones. Christendom told us the lie. They knew that we were Hebrews, but they told us the lie. See, and listen. Christianity is a fabrication of the Hebraic culture, right? Whose focus is Yahuwah and whose redemption is in Yahusha. They lied to you. They lied to you. They lied to me. They lied to us. We were robbed and spoiled. See, I have to go in on this because this is the number one diabolical, destructive entity, right, in the earth today. Christianity. It is the beast religion. See, in order to understand the renewed covenant, because it's not a new covenant, it's a renewed covenant. That's another play on words, right? Because it's a renewed covenant. Now, it's new to those who are of the other nations, because the Torah was never given to them. It was given to us. This book is a historical documentation of Yahuwah's events in time that speaks specifically to a people, right? Who Yahuwah has determined by bringing them under a covenant, an atonement, a blood oath. They have been covered through the shedding of innocent blood. This atonement has caused us to be separate from everybody else. Abraham was that patriarch who produced Yitzhak, who produced Yaakov, right? Who Yahuwah has chosen, his firstborn. All of the other worlds, all of the other people in the world, there's a one line of people, right? One line of people that Yahuwah has chosen. But see, they robbed you of this. You were spoiled. Now listen, a lot of it had to do with you because your ancestors was wicked. They were diabolical. They sinned against Yahuwah. Yahuwah gave them the Torah. He gave them covenant. He gave them the atonement, and they violated it. But Yahuwah had a promise to Abraham, and Abraham was righteous. Abraham was that righteous seed. And Yahuwah had a promise he made to Abraham and to his descendants. Abraham understood atonement. He understood the offering up of sacrifices that covered all of those who came under his circumcision. Yahuwah's circumcision, but under the circumcision of Abraham, because it was introduced at first. Everybody that saw that everybody that seen and understood that, these people are different. They serve the living Yahuwah, Lord. They have the mark in their flesh. in order to understand the renewed covenant, you have to understand it from a Hebraic perspective. Right? See, when Constantine and the Pope, right, took over as the leaders of the churches, he understood that in order to bring it into what he wanted it to be, he had to introduce all else. They had to change the images. They had to establish this Confederacy. They had to hide the identity of the people. They had to move Yahuah's holy day from the seventh day to the first day of the week, to the day of the sun. And yet this is how they spawned Christianity. Now, you understand, we understand who have received Yahuah's Ruach HaKodesh, because even those in the Hebrew, of Hebrew awakening don't understand the importance of Hamashiach's witness. They just like their forefathers, right? But those who have come under the atonement of this great high priest and king, right, who offered up his own blood as a kinsman redeemer for the remission of sins. This Yahusha Hamashiach has, by virtue of his blood atonement, have put us in a place with Yahuwah where he says, I see you cleansed. I see your sins removed. And because they are, I can put my Ruach HaKodesh in you. And see, it's in that Ruach HaKodesh of truth that you understand the truth. It's in that Ruach of wisdom and revelation, the Ruach HaKodesh of truth, which brings to bear the knowledge of him. That Ruach HaKodesh gives the eyes of your understanding enlightenment. Right? But you got to understand the process, right, from a Hebraic perspective, what this Yeshua really is. See, in Christendom, they don't understand it. They don't have a clue of that because they don't have the Ruach HaKodesh. Point blank, period. You don't have the Ruach HaKodesh. You don't have the Ruach HaKodesh maintaining a worship on a Sunday. That's a violation of Torah. Yahusha said, if you love me, you'll keep my commandments as I've kept the Father's commandment. That's Hebraic. We understand that keeping the commandments is keeping Yahuah's Torah. Right? We understand that keeping the commandments is, you shall have no other else before him. Right? You will bow down to no other else. Right? You will remember the Shabbat and keep it holy. See, when you have Yahuah's Ruach HaKodesh and you come into this witness and you obey Yahuah's Torah, right? Because the Ruach HaKodesh is essential for you to receive the Torah of Yahuah in order to obey the Torah of Yahuah. See, in Christendom, there's no demand for obedience because you have all this grace. There's no demand for obedience. So you can sin and feel the liberty of going to him on a Sunday and asking him to forgive you and go back before the day's over and do the same sin that you did before. See, in the Hebraic way of life, that's not acceptable, right? In the witness of Yahusha HaMashiach, in the Ruach HaKodesh, you can't do that and be his. You can't live any kind of way and be Yahuah's. But in the Christian church, you can't. There's no demands on sanctification. There's no demands on being holy as he is holy. And the only way to even partake in holiness is through that blood, that water, and the Ruach HaKodesh. That's the witness that we are holy and set apart in the earth. But see, in Christendom, you don't have that. Yeah, I know some of y'all gonna be mad. Y'all gonna be like, oh, this man is crazy. Okay. You don't have it. See, because listen. Christianity is a New Testament spawn from Catholicism. So it's a New Testament spawn. Right? Protestant is a New Testament spawn. Lutheranism is a New Testament spawn. Baptism, the Baptists, the First Assemblies, all of them are spawns. Amein I Methodists, Southern Baptists, the spawns of Catholicism. That's why you dress like them. You sit up in pulpits like them. You know, now, you know, they done the mega churches, you know, except, you know, like T.D. Jakes and some of these other mega churches that are black mega churches, they gonna always be sitting and exalted above the congregation. Oh yeah, they gonna always do that. They gonna always be there. Christianity is a spawn of Catholicism. Now listen. So we understand that in order to be born again, in order to be his, you must be born again of the water and of the Ruach HaKodesh. You gotta understand what that means. See, and the thing about Shaul is Shaul preached from Torah. Shaul taught from Torah. He didn't teach from the letters of Paul. He didn't teach from the Gospel of Mark and Luke. He taught from Torah. Because he understood that Hamashiach was a fulfillment of Torah. Though it says the end of the law, it is totally the fulfillment of the law. Meaning that the end of the law is Yahusha Hamashiach. Not the end as relating to the disillusion or the doing away with, the fulfillment. See, because now you can keep Torah. Torah doesn't have to be put away. Because with the witness of Yahusha Mashiach, you have the capacity to keep Torah. So, Christianity. It's a spawn from Catholicism. The Catholic Church persecuted Hebrew and Gentile worshippers of Torah and witnesses of Hamashiach. Christian Church persecuted. Now listen. They're the beast. The beast has a perpetual hatred for the people of Yahuwah. Catholicism was a move by the beast to bruise Yahusha's heel. Everything that it does is anti-Hamashiach. Right? Consider the understanding. Consider this. If you understand that the beast system is the Catholic Church, right? Right? You understand it? And everything that has come as a result of the Catholic Church has come as a result of being a spawn or a byproduct, right, of the Catholic Church. See, Christianity is a religion that's not Hebraic. You're Hebrew. Christianity is not Hebraic. Now, that's not to suggest that the Old Testament, right, is not of Yahuwah. Because you have to come into a blood atonement in order to be reestablished. And the only way to that atonement is through Yahusha Mashiach. So it's not that the renewed covenant to us is of a lesser value. In all actuality, it is more important with the foundation of the apostles and the prophets, because it points to the exact way to be restored in his kingdom. See, but you got to understand, right? Catholicism didn't need Yahuwah. They didn't need Yahusha. They needed their own image. It's like you have these people who say, you know what, this is not a bad idea. You know, this whole messianic idea, this is not a bad idea. Let's see how we could improve on it to accomplish our mission and our agenda. Because, you know, they got the Torah. They took books, they took everything when they destroyed Jerusalem, and they brought it back to Rome. How can we improve on this? How can we make this a universal religion? How can we make this religion the number one religion of the entire world? Well, we'll first go out and conquer in the name of this allure. And if everybody, whoever don't want to bend the knee, dies at the sword. Right? Well, they called it holy wars. Let's get this universal religion moving. We gotta change the images though. We gotta make these people look like us. Because we know over time, if they can accept the fact that they look like us, then we can convince them that they're not them. So change the images. They introduce other L's. Sun worship, Baal worship, and Asherah's worship, Estar worship. And they attached Jesus, right? Jesus. And again, if you look at that word Jesus, it's J-E-E, right? And it's G-E, right? Right, that word means earth, right? Right, earth. And that S-U-E or Su, S-U-S, Su, right, means pig. Right? Because, English language, right? Latin, English, that language is a language of spells. You gotta understand this diabolical thing. It runs deep. This rabbit hole goes deep. So they went forth and conquered. And they tried to destroy the people of Yahuwah. Yahuah's remnants. Right? They took Judah into captivity. Took them to the four corners of the earth. Stripped him of who he was. Took his identity away from him. Then taught them this Christian religion. This Christian religion that had this image who was white Fabio. European Fabio. They started printing pictures, making images. Took a cross, made an image. Made people bow to this image. And over time, they give you a right to take the word and begin to preach and teach. They give you a Bible that's specifically for you, though. You got this slave's Bible. It's beast religion. And when you understand the worship excuse me, of other elves, you understand that in order to worship these elves, you must present sacrifices. So you got to understand, Hebraically, we understood sacrifice. We understood atonement. Our people, they understood the kingdom. Peter told Yahusha, said, will you at this time restore the kingdom? He said, that's in the Father's hands. They knew that Yahusha was the king. They knew that the king was coming. The king was coming. The king came. They looked for the restoration of the nation. But see, we've been robbed and spoiled. We've been stripped from our identity, our Hebraic culture. Right? And then you got these people, Ashkenaz, right? Who teach a Talmidiym, right? A Talmidiym script. Right? Talmud. Right? Not the Torah. Not the laws and the prophets. Talmud. And they the people. At least they say they the people. You got these diabolical entities that are working to hide and destroy the people of you, to bring them into covenants. See, now, you gotta understand, atonement works in two ways. From a righteous place, atonement is necessary in order to be made free from sin or to have your sin covered. That's that offering that you present to Yahuwah, right? As our people, we had to present an offering for sin. We had to take it to the priest. And he had to prepare it. And the blood had to be sprinkled to cover the sins. Right? It had to be innocent blood. A lamb, a kid, a goat, lambs, oxen. They had to be a sin-free offering. They couldn't be crippled. They couldn't be broke. They couldn't be maimed. Had to be a perfect offering. Atonement. Right? See the other side of that. Right? Is that drinking of blood. That offering up of offerings unto other else. Right? Now don't get it twisted. These wicked heathens continue to offer up sacrifices to this day. These wicked heathens offer sacrifices unto this day. Right? You remember the time when, there was all these missing kids on milk cartons? And, they also started putting missing pictures of kids all over in supermarkets and stuff. Missing. See, there has to be a sacrifice. Right? And these diabolical, wicked people have been doing this throughout time. Right? They have to serve their allure. Not Yahuwah allure, but their El. Hasatan demands a sacrifice in order to receive anything from him. He demands blood. And the flip side is that he will move you forward in evilness. He will bring you to a place of exaltation in wickedness. Right? He will cause you to excel in leadership. Christianity. They're talking about a communion. Pope offers up a communion. He gets you to enter into a covenant with Hasatan, with Jesus, the earth pig. See, because, Yahusha talked about, let's go there real quick. Let's go. Because, I don't want to just give you stuff. I want, Mark, the 14th chapter, talks about the supper. Now, Yahusha was at Passover. Passover. Right? It was Passover. Right? Matter of fact, let's go up to the 12th verse. He says, and the first day of unleavened bread, when they killed the Passover. Right. You understand? Yahusha is that lamb. He said, listen. And the first day of unleavened bread, when they killed the Passover, his disciples said unto him, where wilt thou that we go to prepare that thou mayest eat the Passover? Right? Right? And he sent forth two of his disciples and said unto them, go ye into the city, and there ye shall meet a man bearing a pitcher of water, and follow him. You knew exactly what was going to happen. He says, and whosoever he shall, and wheresoever he shall go in, ye shall say to the good man of the house, the master saith, where is the guest chamber where I shall eat the Passover? Excuse me, with my disciples. And he will show you a large upper room furnished, prepared. There make ready for us. And his disciples went forth and came into the city and found as he had said unto them, and they made ready the Passover. Right? And in the evening he cometh with the 12. Right? Passover. Evening. Right? Right? Passover lamb was Yahusha. Passover lamb, Hebraically, was the liberation from the bondage of Mitzrayim. Right? So Yahusha is remembering Passover, but Yahusha is also reflecting with them on why. He says, listen. And as he sat and did eat, Yahusha said, verily I say unto you, one of which eateth me shall betray, eateth with me shall betray me. And they began to be sorrowful and say unto him one by another, is it I? And the other says, it is I. And he answered and said unto them, it is the one of the 12 that dippeth with me in the dish. Right? The Son of Man indeed goeth, as is written of him, but woe unto that man whom the Son of Man is betrayed. Listen. I go to be the kinsman redeemer. Right? But woe. I know that in order to restore the nation, I have to be the kinsman redeemer. I have to be that lamb. Right? But woe to that man who betrays, right? Good were he for that man if he were never born. It's good that you were never born. Because you betrayed the Son of Yahuwah. Right? No, let's go on. Right? And as they did eat, Yahusha took bread and blessed and brake it and gave it to them and said, take, eat. This is my Passover lamb. I am that Passover lamb. Because when we were in Mitzrayim, we had to take the blood, put it over the doorpost, and then we had to cook that meat, and we had to eat that meat. And on the morning, that meat had to be ate, and if it wasn't, it had to be burned. Right? Yahusha says. Yahusha took the bread and blessed it and brake it and gave to them and said, take, eat, this is my body. Right? This is my body. Right? He said, and he took the cup, and when he had given thanks, he gave it to them and said, and they all drank of it. Right? He said unto them, this is my blood of the New Testament. This is the blood of the grape. Right? Of the New Testament. Now, listen, right? See, Hebraically, we knew that Yahusha was not talking about drinking his own blood or having us drink his blood. We knew that that was a direct violation of Torah. Yahusha was not saying drink blood. He was speaking in reference to a feast that was a part of the overall atonement. He was talking about consumption of a feast, of portions that were offered up and portions that were left for you to consume. It was the sacrifice. It was the offering. There was a portion of it that went to the priest. So you have to understand from a Hebraic perspective, Yahusha was never speaking about drinking blood. He was speaking of a covenant. Right? He says, listen, he took the cup and he gave thanks and he gave it to them and all drank of it. And he said unto them, this is my blood of the renewed covenant. Right? See, this is the blood that's going to satisfy the atonement for once and for all. This blood right here is going to be that which purges and washes from sin. See, in Hebraically, we understood it was a renewal of a covenant. See, because our people have gotten so far away from the Torah. You know, you got Edomites. You got Edomites as Pharisees, Levitical leaders. You know, you got Pharisees and Sadducees. You got wicked, diabolical men. You had people that were Talmudic. You had these people that had came from Babylon, right, who learned Torah, but they put their own spin and twist on things. They came up with the doctrine of men. That's what the Talmud is, a doctrine of men. Yahusha says, he said, this is the blood of the New Testament, which is shed for many. Right? Drink this cup. Not because it's literal blood, right? But because it represents something. It represents sanctification. It represents an atonement that was once and for all. It represents an atonement that was from a high priest forever after the order of Melchizedek. It was the blood of a lamb that was slain from the foundations of the earth. It was from a blood of a kinsman redeemer, the son of Yahuwah, in whom Yahuwah said, I am well pleased. This atonement purchased Yeshua, Yahusha, Hamashiach. Hebraically, when you understand what Yahusha was saying, you would understand Hebraically he wasn't talking about drinking blood. But you know what? Those who serve the table of Els and other idols, They literally drink blood. They literally drink blood. They literally offer up sacrifices. No. You're like, what has that got to do with Christianity? If we understand that Christianity is a spawn from Catholicism, and we understand the Catholic Church is the beast, right? We understand that everything that they have done is profane, right? We understand that they've changed the identity. They changed the name, right? Throughout the text, right? They changed Lord and God and Jesus and Spirit and the Holy Spirit, right? They've changed all of these things, right? They made some capital, some not capital, creating this illusion or this confusion around it, right? And then they came up with this image. And they took this image, this white Jesus, and they left him on a cross. Right? And technically, if he's on the cross still, right, he hasn't been victorious. See, y'all don't hear me. You don't hear me. You don't hear me. He is not victorious in the eyes of the Catholic Church because he's yet on a cross. See, he's risen. We don't worship them images on the cross. We don't worship a baby Jesus. You're paying baby Jesus in a manger scene. You know how people still refer to, oh, keep us safe, baby Jesus. What? Now, listen. You better understand, this is diabolical. These images of a cross. Look, I used to wear a cross. Right? I wore a cross. I was a Gentile. I didn't understand I was Hebraic. I didn't even understand that, that represented an image and an idol. I didn't understand that. But when I did, took it off, got rid of it. See, these are the things that you have been brought through, have been led to believe that these things are of the Lord. Well, they are of Baal. They are of other else. They are of sun worship. Yahusha says, and he said unto them, this is the blood of my renewed covenant. See now. The Catholic Church took this and they said, oh, we got to run with this. We got to establish this. We got to make this in stone. We got to spread the word that nobody worships on a Saturday anymore. It's a Sunday. Right? The Pope is trying to do that right now. Oh yeah, the Pope's trying to do that right now. He's trying to push for a universal day of rest, Sunday, where everybody will be forced to worship on Sunday. So now this is a Hebraic understanding of what Yahusha is saying, and he says, "Verily I say unto you, I will drink no more of the fruit of the vine." Yahusha said, "I will drink no more of the fruit of the vine." I will drink no more of the fruit of the blind. He didn't say drink of no blood. He said the fruit of the vine. The idea is that you understand, we Hebraically understood the connection between this feast, this celebration, this meal, and the consumption of it. In the Christian church, it's not that way. It's not that way. He told them, he says, "Verily I say unto you, I will drink no more of the fruit of the vine until the day that I drink it new in the kingdom of Elohiym." From that day, he wasn't going to drink no more until he establishes the kingdom of Yahuah and Elohiym and the Eretz, and he drinks it again in celebration and victory, having gotten the victory and reigning as king in the Eretz. See, Yahusha don't need to reign as king in the Amein I. Everybody already understands his authority. It's on the Eretz where his kingdom is going to be and where he's going to reign. But see, we understand it because it's Hebraic. We understand. We understand this atonement. We understand what this says, what this means. But see, the Christian church didn't do it. They understand it. And you know what they did was they did what they wanted to do. Right? Yeah. You got Constantine. He got popes, the vicar, the replacement of Christ in the Eretz. So the Pope is Christ in the earth. He replaced him. He's taken over the authority of the church. They own the United States. Verily I say unto you, I will drink no more of the fruit of the vine. Right? I will drink no more of the fruit of the vine. Right? Until the day I drink it anew in my Father's kingdom. And when they had sung a hymn, they went out unto the Mount of Olives. Right? Let's look at it in Matthew 26:26. And he says, and they were eating. And as they were eating, Yahusha took the bread and blessed it and brake it and gave it to the disciples and said, "Eat." Said, "Take, eat, this is my body." And he took the cup and he gave thanks and he gave it to them and said, "Drink ye all of it. For this is the blood of the New Testament, which is shed for many for the remission of sins." This is the reason why we have atonement. Because without the shedding of blood, there's no remission of sins. Without there being a lamb that was slain from the foundations of the earth, there's no forgiveness of sin. He said, I say unto you, I will not drink henceforth of the fruit of the vine until when I drink it anew in my Father's kingdom. Right? And they sang hymns and they went forth, right, unto the Mount of Olives. Luke 22:14-23, right? And when the hour was come, he sat down and the 12 apostles with him. And he said unto them with desire, I have desired to eat the Passover with you before I suffer. Right? For I say unto you, I will not any more eat thereof until it be fulfilled in the kingdom of Elohiym. This is the last time I'm going to eat the Passover. Right? Until the kingdom. Right? He says, and he took the cup and he gave thanks and said, take this and divide it amongst yourselves. And I say unto you, I will not drink of the fruit of the vine until the kingdom of Elohiym shall come. Right? Now this is prophetic. Now, this speaks to the kingdom, the physical kingdom, but it also speaks to Yahusha's completing of the work. Yahusha's death, his burial, and his resurrection paved the way for Yahuwah's kingdom. It had come. Yahusha on the cross, he said, it's finished. They took him down. They put him in a grave. 3 days later, they found an empty tomb. Yahusha had been resurrected. Because he conquered death, he now had his own blood to offer up in the Amein. He can go to be with the Father to offer the atonement. He said, and he took the bread and gave thanks and brake it and gave it to them, saying, this is my body which is broken for you. This do in remembrance of me. Right? This body is being broken for you. Eat this. And as you eat this, remember Passover. Remember the purpose of Passover. Remember that by this act of atonement, right, you are going to be able to enter into Yahuwah's kingdom. He says, do this in remembrance of me. He said, likewise the cup after the sup, saying, this cup is this is the renewed covenant. I'm not going to say new covenant, New Testament. It's a renewed testament in my blood. It's a renewed testament in my blood. Right? Right? Which is shed for you. See, because the priest had to take the blood, drain it into a basin, and he had to pour some on the altar and around the altars. Then they had to sprinkle it on the mercy seat in the Holies of Holies. So that your sins can be remitted. It had to be a kinsman redeemer that could do it. Yahusha said, remember, it is me that is that lamb that brought the remission of sins by my blood. Right? He says, likewise also the cup, saying, this is the cup of the New Testament of my blood, which is shed for you. But behold, the hand of him that betrayed me is with me at the on the table. And truly the Son of Man goeth as it is determined, but woe unto that man whom he betrayed. Right? And they begin to inquire amongst themselves, right? So understand, right? This is Hebraic. They understood what he said about being the Lamb. They understood about atonement. Right? Let's do this. Let's do this. 1 Corinthians. Right. 1 Corinthians, the 11th chapter, 23rd verse. Hebraically, we understood Passover. We understood the lamb. We understood the blood on the doorpost. We understand consuming the Passover lamb. Right? We understood the importance of his blood. Right? We celebrated with the fruit of the grape, with the meal of the lamb. We understood that. It's diabolical. Catholics, Catholicism, Pope. Yeah, something altogether different in mind. They wanted to change what Yahusha was. They wanted to make it diabolical. And they wanted to make the practices of Yahusha, what he did, what he brought, right? They want to spin it and make it diabolical. Right? They want to include a bunch of stuff. Right? Christianity is a bunch of doctrines of men. Rapture doctrine. Grace doctrine. Faith doctrine. AME doctrine. Baptist doctrine. Methodist doctrine. Episcopalian doctrine. Lutheran doctrine. Doctrines of men. It's diabolical. 1 Corinthians, the 11th chapter. He says, and I received of Adonai that which also I delivered unto you. I received the same thing that Yahusha gave to me, to you. Right? That Yahusha HaMashiach, the night in which he was betrayed, took bread, and he gave thanks, and brake it, and said, take, eat, this is my body, which is broken for you, this do in remembrance of me. Right? It's a Passover. Right? It's a sacred thing. Right? and occurred on the feast day. He said, this is my body. Take, eat. This is my body which is broken for you. This do in remembrance of me. See, now Paul had to teach the Corinthians how this corresponds to Torah. Because they had to understand, right, what it meant. This is not just some random act of sitting down and coming to church on Sunday and having a meal at the church. Because, they got to the point where, they was coming there and eating and, taking care of certain people. And certain people wasn't getting no food, wasn't getting to eat. And because they weren't moving Hebraically. They were Gentiles. They didn't understand the feast. Now, he said, listen, Yahusha said his offer, you do it in remembrance of him. Right? He said, listen, this you do in remembrance of me. Right? This is what he said he did. Right? And after the same manner also he took the cup when he had supped, saying, this cup is the renewed covenant in my blood. This do ye oft as ye drink in remembrance of me. Right? For us, if you eat of the bread and drink of this cup, you do shew the Lord's, you do show Adonai Yahusha's death till he comes. Passover. Because it's about Passover. It's about celebrating Passover. It's about celebrating Passover. Right? See, now the Catholic Church has taken and made it profane. Because they don't serve Yahuwah. They serve the Lord. Right? They serve Baal. They serve Jesus. J-E-E or J or G-E, same thing. Earth. And Su, U-S, S-U-S, Su, means pig. Sui, means pig. They have him still on the cross. Right? Protestants taking him off the cross. Right? But they still hold to the same doctrine. They persecuted the Hebrew Christians. Or they persecuted the Hebrew Messianics. Those who kept Torah and had faith in the Mashiach. Thrown them to the lions. See, because, understand this, right? Right? They weren't just throwing, Jesus worshipers. Because, Constantine didn't have a problem with Jesus. He had a problem with them brews. Who was talking about keeping Torah and keeping Shabbat, keeping the feast days, and have faith in the Mashiach. They didn't like that. They didn't like that. So they got persecuted. See, in the Catholic Church, the Christian Church, it became diabolical. You know, it took from the Catholic method of communion. Right. Every first Sunday. Giving you that wine in the cup, or giving you that cup and pouring wine into your mouth. However how them Catholics do it. Taking that wafer, sticking it on your tongue. Bunch of pedophiles. Bunch of homosexuals. People of pornonia. Look at G4202, I think it is. Pornonia. To have you drinking to an idol. Offering up a covenant. Covenant that is binding you to Christianity and the earth pig. Got you praising Baal. And they know specifically what his name is. He said what his name was. But they continue to you just trust in Jesus. Every time you drink that communion cup and you eat that bread and remember Jesus' sacrifice. Listen. You better understand this. These devils are diabolical. All they want you to do is maintain your covenant with them. They're not offering up Yahusha's Passover. They don't even hold to the Passover. So what is this communion really about? What is it really about? I've been doing it for years in the church. Baptist church. I was an usher. Right? Junior usher boy. Junior choir. Communion. Right? They tell you don't drink it unworthily. But everybody drank it anyway because, everybody was going to do what they going to do because nobody was keeping Torah. Nobody was really born again of the water and the Ruach HaKodesh. See, now this kind of message right here, this will make people hate you. This message right here will make people hate you. Right? This kind of message will make people gnash their teeth at you. How dare you say that? About the church. You got leaders that were homosexuals. Leaders. Pastors. Ministers. Homosexuals. But you know, fornicators. Diabolical. So they introduce you to this communion. They call it Baal's Sup. Lord's. Look what the word Lord means. It's the name for Baal. They've taken it and profaned it. And then every first Sunday they have you reaffirming your covenant with Jesus. See, this make people mad, straight up hostile. So you gotta understand, right? When he says here, wherefore, whosoever shall eat this bread and drink this cup of Adonai unworthy. Right? You participate in the atonement feast without having been made worthy to partake of it. If you ain't keeping Torah, you can't do this. Whosoever shall eat the bread and drink the cup of Adonai unworthily, right, shall be guilty of the body and the blood. He said, let a man examine himself, so let him eat of the bread and the drink of the cup. For he that eateth and drinketh unworthily eateth damnation to himself, not discerning the seriousness of atonement. See, the man who enters into an atonement feast, right, without having properly coming under the atonement, under the blood, right, you damning yourself. Listen. You can understand. All of that was wrong. It's diabolical. And every time you go in and participate in a communion, you're establishing your covenant with Hasatan. You understand me. See, Hasatan don't care. He just wants us to hold as many as he can. Right? He wants you bound. He wants you bound. He wants you tied to Christianity. He wants you to come on that first Sunday and partake of that body of Jesus and that blood of Jesus. He wants you to remember the blood. He wants you to drink the blood. Because the blood that you're drinking is not Yahusha. It's to the servants of Els. Other Els. Because my Savior's name is not Jesus. And again, right? My Savior's name is Yahusha. He's Hebrew. This book is a Hebraic book that has been translated, transliterated, and it has lost a lot of its strength. But if you are born again of the water and of the Ruach HaKodesh, and you have to come under this atonement, right? Yahuwah will still reveal it all. He'll open it up to you just as if it was divinely written, in spite of what they try to do. Because see, listen, you gotta understand, it's going to require the Ruach HaKodesh of truth. That's why you got to be born again. That's why you got to receive the Ruach of wisdom and revelation and the knowledge of Him. You got to be able to see into this, right? And then the Ruach HaKodesh of Yahuwah is going to reveal all this other madness. They ain't going to realize that Father's told them lies, right? Right? And it's not just that we the Hebrews that they lied about. They lied about the worship. They lied about Christianity. They lied about Jesus. They lied about the image. They lied about all of it. You got Jehovah's Witnesses. You know, you got all kinds of denominations. You got Mennonites. You got Amish. All these people worship the Lord and got their own things that they use to govern what they do. It's Hebraic. And unless you come through Yahusha HaMashiach, Yahuah's salvation, you ain't born again. I don't care how many times you feel that you've been prayed to Jesus and He's been doing things for you. No. You have a communion covenant with Hasatan. And He'll do whatever He needs to do to hold you. You go in there, you drink that cup. You communing with Hasatan. In the Catholic Church. In the Christian Church. You know, in the Christian Church, they don't hardly do communion no more. They don't do communion no more. You know, like, denominations, they still, walk around looking like the Pope. They still, They gonna still rob, pools people. Right? But you know, like priests, like people. Yahuwah is calling out those that he has chosen. He's calling them to come out from among them wicked folk and be separate. Stop drinking that blood, because that's not Yahusha's covenant. That's not Yahusha's covenant. Every time you partake in that communion, you're reinforcing your covenant with Jesus. You are reinforcing your covenant with Jesus. And if the Catholic Church, if it be told by the Catholic Church, he's still on that cross. And the only way you can get to him is through Mary. Communion. The covenant. It's diabolical to them. But it's the kingdom of Yahuwah to us. It's Jesus and the Lord to them, but it's Yahuwah and Yahusha to us. It's Hebraic for us. So, bros, Hebrews, that's all I have right now. That's all Yahuwah's giving me. I'm going to stop. This atonement, this covenant is Hebraic. These feast days are Hebraic. This atonement is Hebraic. Its counterpart is diabolical. Its counterpart brings you into agreement with Hasatan. Without shedding of blood, innocent blood, and Yahuwah, there's no forgiveness of sins. Without the shedding of blood unto Hasatan, there is no elevation. Right? Without a communion with Hasatan, there is no blessings, no benefits. Man, I got one with you. Yahuwah, I pray right now in the name of Yahusha Mashiach, the words you're giving me to give to them, I pray that they would receive them in Emunah. Yahuwah, I just pray that you would continue to, by your Ruach HaKodesh, speak through me. Let the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be acceptable in thy sight. Yahuwah, reveal the diabolical nature of Catholicism, of the Christian Church, of Islam, and of Judaism. Not Judaism. Jewishness. All these major religions. Yahuwah, expose their diabolicalness and reveal yourself to your people, to those that you have chosen. Let the words of my mouth and meditation of my heart be acceptable in thy sight. Yahuwah, my strength and my redeemer. Man of Yah, woman of Yah, called to greatness. Woman of Yahuwah, beautifully and wonderfully made. Today, Yahuwah has favored you. Listen. You got to receive this truth, this witness. You got to understand that Hasatan has an atonement to death and destruction. Yahusha has atonement to life, to peace, to an eternal rest or a place of Yahuwah's kingdom. Yahusha is eternal. Hasatan is temporal, with a judgment of eternal fire. And you choose. Man of Yah, called to greatness. Woman of Yah, called to greatness. Woman of Yahuwah, beautifully and wonderfully made. Daughters of Zion, listen. Hear the word of Yahuwah. You must be born again of the water and the Ruach HaKodesh. This ain't Christianity. It's Hebraic. And you must receive his witness. With that I say, shalom, 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 and be blessed.
Torah guardian, speaking the absolute truth. Torah nation.